Welcome to the World United. Welcome to the World United.
Panel discussion. So what we were kind of assigned to discuss was the concept of freedom from self-defeating karmic patterns. I think Laura, obviously you've touched on this. Lynn, you've touched on it. GP, Danny, everybody has touched on this in one way or another. So I'd like to just see if we can kind of come to some kind of a little bit of a discussion about what is the most important thing in your mind that to free yourself from these self-defeating karmic patterns. Anybody want to jump in and start? No.
Well, we have to change our Weltanschauung. We have to change our vision of reality around us. You know, we have to recreate. We have to create our own reality. We are capable of doing that. We're capable of creating our own reality, like we're capable of from energy materializing photons. You know, energy is not physical. You know, it can either be created or destroyed. But the photons are physical. They're already subatomic particles of light. So we can, in fact, create our own Weltanschauung, our own vision of reality. And our perception is very important. If we change our perception, you know, we change our mind, and we change the body too. The body reacts to the mind. There is such a thing as a body mind. You know, I don't call it body and mind. I call it body mind. It's all together. You know, so
it seems to me the word that kind of encompasses all of this is awareness. Whether you get your awareness from your perceptions or from your inner perceptions, it's the awareness that's the first step that takes you on that path.
I agree. That is most important. We are that observer of ourselves. We are that center of energy that is aware of itself, that is observing himself or herself or itself. You know, the awareness is most important. It changes your perception, and when you change your perception, you change your reality. It's perception is more important than reality in reality, if that makes any sense.
Everybody remember to unmute yourselves, and if you have a comment to make or you'd like to make a comment, Danny, go ahead.
Octavia, thank you first of all for that beard. I don't feel alone now with just my beard here. So I want
yes.
You know, first of all, what a beautiful session, and I was so honored to be a part of it and to listen to everybody, to hear the different points of view, the different perspectives, touched by people that I never even knew before 10 minutes ago. What a beautiful, beautiful moment. I'd like to invite the possibility that the question you're even asking isn't even the question that we could ask. Like, how is it that we have these self-limiting beliefs that keep us from going forward? What if they weren't self-limiting beliefs? What if they were actually self-actualizing beliefs? What if we would take time to listen to what they're saying to us and to actually ponder the question that they asked? What if, you know, so many people come to me and say, Danny, I just don't feel good enough. I don't feel like I can do this. I don't feel like I have the capability to do it. I don't feel like I'm able to do it. And I look at them and I say, I'm going to freak you out. But I'm going to say, celebrate. What a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place to be in. You can't do it on your own. You were never meant to. We're all part of this beautiful mosaic. And when you can't do something on your own, then what do? And I can't tell you how long it takes people to get to the simplest thing. When they don't know what to do, their fifth, sixth, sometimes their 10th answer is to ask for help. It isn't the first thing that comes right out of their mind. But there is a power that runs through all of us, that when we connect to ourselves, when we listen to ourselves, the Mosaic taught me you connect to self, then you connect to source, then you connect to your purpose, then you can connect to others. When we listen to ourselves and connect to ourselves, we realize we're as beautiful and as powerful and as holy and as sacred as we are. We're just a broken piece in the totality of this entirety of the mosaic. But when we connect to source, there's something so much greater, that when we're all connected together and source, and we allow source to flow through us, source can do absolutely anything. So if you don't feel good enough, fabulous. You finally got the message, celebrate. Walk around the room and yell and scream and hoot and holler, because guess what? That's the greatest thing that you could ever know. Why not then take time and invite source to come into your life and say, I don't know how to do this. I can't do this. You know I don't know how to do this on my own. Will you please come and just help me? Will you just come into my heart and open my heart? Will you help me let go of all the things that are keeping me from having the belief systems that I can't do something, and just let me know what's possible for me to do? And I'm not a betting man, but I would bet 1 penny that if you do that, you will invite yourself into the most exquisite relationship you've ever known. A relationship with self, a relationship with source, a relationship to your purpose, and then a relationship to others. I was part of a group for a while. They wanted me to help CEOs work through situations, and I didn't join them in the end. But I liked one thing they did, and I'm going to leave you with this statement. I wish I had come up with it, but I didn't, so I always give them credit. They said when people come to us, they expect we're going to find answers to their questions. But instead, what we do is we question their answers. If we would all take time and question the answers, we all know so much. But what if what we know isn't right? What if what we know is just what we think we know? What if what is out there is so much greater than anything we know? Invite yourself to question your answers. Invite yourself to listen to what you think are limiting beliefs. Invite yourself to know that those things that you think are the furthest thing that you want to push them away, you don't want anything to do with them, are the things that you want to invite into your life with fervor and grace, because they are the things that will uplift you beyond anything you could ever know.
Wow. Thank you, Danny. That was absolutely beautiful. And I heard so much of what Laura was talking about before in being bold enough to ask.
Yes.
And I hear you saying, be bold to ask, but also be smart enough to listen.
Thank you.
I think another part of it.
Yeah, go ahead, Laura.
Is that one of my favorite words is the word charity. And when I was taught the actual definition, where the word charity comes from, that it comes from the Greek word agape, and it means to see someone as God sees them. When we can have that unconditional love, not just for others, but for ourselves and our own weaknesses, and to have that bigger divine perspective of everything that I'm doing in the moment is what I'm supposed to be doing right now. And everything that has happened to me in the past, all the screw ups I've made, have brought me to this point, that they're all in perfect alignment. And all the growth that I've had has brought me to this point, that we need it all. We have to have that, the karmic screw ups and the karmic blessings all have brought us to where we are right now. And it helps me to recognize that if I can use that agape, that charity, and not only recognize that, yeah, I'm a screw up, but God loves me. And he gave me such incredible blessings, but he did it for you and for you and for like every one of us, that I can look at where someone else is on their path and go, that's exactly where they're supposed to be right now. And it's okay. And it's all good. And that unconditional love, it roots us and it grounds us to something amazing, to the bigness of the picture, that mosaic that you're talking about, Danny, that it roots me to my Heavenly Father, and it roots me to my family, and it roots me to my extended family, my world family. And everything is perfect. No matter how hard it is, it's still good. And no matter what of a struggle and the polarization that's happening in the world, we need that in order to grow. Dr. Sue Morter, she talks about the bus stop. And she talks about how this idea that before we came to Earth, we all stood at a bus stop waiting to get on to our ride. And while we were at the bus stop, we talked about the experiences that we wanted to have while we were here. And I would have said, well, I want to have this experience and that experience. Well, but in order to have that, I've got to have the counter to it. I've got to have the challenge. And somebody else at the bus stop said, hey, I'll give that to you. I'll provide that for you. Will you provide this for me? And we all came down here ready to do our part to push each other to grow in amazing ways. And I've always said, if there was a lineup in heaven for an easy life, I apparently looked at that lineup and went, that's really, really long. I'll take the short lineup. I apparently signed up for all the difficult stuff. And man, it's been hard. But I wouldn't be the person I am today if I hadn't gone through all of that. And it has opened my world to be able to touch and love people in a way I don't think I would have had the opportunity to do if I hadn't signed up for all that.
Thanks, Lori. Your story is inspirational. Anybody else would like to, just while we're still on this topic of karmic patterns and stuff, is anybody else like to make a comment before we maybe move on to something else?
Sure, I'd like to say something. Yeah.
Go ahead, Chippy.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of, well, second everybody say I'm getting so entranced, I forgot that I'm actually part of the panel. I'm listening to everybody. It's just such a beautiful experience to be here with you all. But, you know, wisdom, to truly gain wisdom only comes from the experience of primarily genuinely experiencing the suffering we create for others. When we actually feel that, something inside shifts and we become moral, not because we've had rules imposed on us, but because we genuinely see from our direct experience the impact that we have, either for good or for ill. You know, there's no karma for the self because it doesn't exist in time. It's only in the realm of experience here and the realm where we are actually learning who we truly are. And the only way to do that is to genuinely experience viscerally the effects of our own actions. At that point, wisdom is born, and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil, in the deepest sense of that word. And I don't know anybody that once they actually feel the impact they have on somebody else, you just can't do it again, period. That natural compassion and love just happens. And what we're experiencing in the world right now is the inability to do that. There's a buffering. There's something in between, the experience of what I'm doing and the impact that it's having. But when I see it genuinely, which is the sweetest karmic retribution, I mean, it fixes itself. And I don't know any other way in which wisdom is gained. I've learned a lot of stuff, but until I actually felt it, it was nice head knowledge, but it wasn't in my body, it wasn't in my life. The impact of that is so powerful. It's the life being the teacher itself. So I second what everybody's saying. I mean, get in the short line. Don't avoid. Anthony DeMello put it beautifully. He said, enlightenment is total surrender to the inevitable.
Yes, it is.
Simply allow yourself to feel what you're feeling totally. And it will bring about an education and a transformation that is just unthinkable, just more beautiful than you can possibly imagine. And then you will be it. It will not be some nice spiritual idea. Matter of fact, spirituality per se will just disappear. It will simply be what is. So that's my 2 cents.
Isn't that the challenge, getting out of your own way?
Getting out of you. It's a beautiful mystic prayer. Lord, replace me with you.
Yeah, getting out of you and connecting to source, and let source flow through you, become a hollow bamboo, so to speak.
Yes.
For source energy.
You disappear until there's nothing but source. If I can quote a very short poem that I heard from a 12th century mystic, a Chinese mystic named Lin Po. And it's very simple. It goes, the bird disappears into the sky. The cloud dissolves and drains. We sit together, the mountain and I, until only the mountain remains.
Wow. Where are we at now, folks? What would you like to go into? I mean, earlier we talked in the earlier panel about how do we get all of the spiritual leaders to pull in the same direction and not to defend their own little angle. How do we get all of these people who yes. And it was funny because yesterday we had a really interesting conversation. What we came out of it is that enlightenment consciousness, whatever you want to call it, is like this big ball full of openings and doorways all around, and all these different perspectives that people have are like doorways into where we're all trying to get. And so the discussion that we had earlier was how do you get everybody to see that and to not try to make their doorway more popular than the other doorways, I guess. Any thoughts?
Well, in the final analysis, it's all the same. We're using different languages to describe the same thing. The source is source, and it's energy, and it's the source energy, and we're part of source. We're like a little phone, that connects to the source energy. We have to orient ourselves better to connect to the main computer, so to speak.
Danny, were you going to say something?
Octavia, are you done?
Sorry,
Yeah,
Octavio,
sorry,
I didn't cut you, did I?
No, you did not. No, not at all.
Okay. Again, and I pardon me for being like a broken record, and probably you want to throw a broken record out every now and again. But what if we didn't have to? What if we didn't have to? Like, sometimes I think let me just talk for me. Sometimes I think I'm so damn important. Sometimes I think I have to do so much. When my teacher was sitting with his teacher, and he had been there for about 4 or 5 years, and they were in the meditation room, and my teacher's teacher had guests coming, was walking through the meditation room and showing the guests the fruits of the tree. And he said, like, look what I've done with him. You knew him when he first came. Look what I've done with him. And my teacher got sort of all annoyed because he thought, what do you mean you've done that to me? I meditate. I've been a monk in this monastery for a long time, and I've done a lot of work on myself. And he was upset with his teacher for saying that. And he went to his teacher and he said it. And his teacher said, oh, I see. You think you did all that, right? What if the beautiful mission of our life is not what we do, but what we receive? What if we were able to just open ourselves up and say, everything, every single thing is perfect just the way it is. All of the hatred, all of the anger, all of the disagreement, all of the pain. And all I need to do is just love it and accept it and give room for it all to just take its time and become what it wants to become. What would happen if we didn't have to change anything or fix anything? We just had to love it and accept it and appreciate it and acknowledge it. I don't know. We've been trying the other way for a long, long, long time. Maybe it'll work if we keep trying it, but you know, for fear of sounding insane, the beautiful definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. I believe what's happening now is it's time for a new paradigm. A paradigm where we just come together because we love each other and we accept each other. And we don't have to have this one agree with what I say. We just have to find like a mosaic. Sometimes the pieces of a mosaic only connect corner to corner. This very smallest part of one piece connects to the very smallest part of another, which means everything else about them doesn't connect. But that small connection is just enough to make the mosaic the most exquisite piece of artwork you could ever imagine. What if we just found our similarities and didn't try and bring people into a reality? What if we had agendaless conversations where we weren't trying to make somebody do something, but we were just trying to love and accept them and acknowledge and validate them and listen to them and hear them? Let them do what they do. Just love them. Like, my job is just to love you and accept you and let you do what you do. You'll come to your own in your own time, just like I'll come to my own in my own time. I don't know about you, but when someone tells me what to do, there's that little, rebel in me that says, really? I ain't doing that. But when someone just says, I'm here for you, brother, whatever you need, come and sit with me. I just want to learn more about you. What I find in this room where I have these conversations with strangers is the more I love them and accept them, and the more I listen to them and hear them, and the more I acknowledge and validate them, everything they aren't falls off. And what they are emerges. And in the emergence of what you are and what I am, we are. We don't need to have a plan. We are connected. I don't know, just, another old fat guy sitting in California having some crazy ideas.
But I love your willingness to just say, no, that's not a paradigm I'm going to go with anymore. I'm going to start something new, or I'm going to look at it through my own eyes and my own paradigm. As you were talking, I was thinking the other night, I watched a movie and I don't even remember anything about the movie other than there was at one point where one guy was trying to get the other guy to decide either you're with us or you're against us. And the young man looked at him and just said, I don't do sides. And it was so profound, you know, it's like, why is every negotiation has to be this or this? Why don't we just allow, you know, and I hear that in your message, and it's just very, very, very deep.
Yeah, if we come to the middle, there suddenly are no sides. And so all of us just have to walk to the middle when we feel comfortable to walk. If other people want to stay on the sides, let them be there. That's fine. Just love them.
And that's what I love about, I know my spiritual teacher is a Native American. That talks about the medicine wheel and how in the medicine wheel, there are no sides. And the one opposite you is what teaches you the most. You know, your oppositions are your greatest teachers. And I think that's what we've been hearing. Everybody today on this panel has been saying, it's through the oppositions in my life that I am who I am. It's been a powerful sharing. Dr. Yugandhar, I noticed you've just joined us. Do you want to have a word here?
Yeah. The present world, in fact, if you observe the evolution of human consciousness since a long time, is governed by the man-made psycho-emotional matrix. All the thoughts that we have been thinking, all the feelings that we have been feeling, all the energies that we have been building, individual level, community level, in different ages, from different age groups, has been dynamically created into a strong psycho-emotional matrix. The masses are much influenced by this matrix. The spiritually wise are those people who fly through this matrix. They are not tethered. They are not anchored. They are not gravitated by these forces of matrix. This matrix otherwise can be called as the herd consciousness, the mass consciousness. The mass unconsciousness rather. So a few spiritual wise people have broken these barriers of this matrix and moved forward. These are the people who are required to the world much more. These are the real spiritual warriors. But the coalition and collaboration of the spiritual warriors is much more important than being a spiritual warrior. The collective energy of these warriors, you and I and every speaker here, we're all warriors, warriors of truth. We are not tethered by mass influences. We are not tethered by mass opinions, or judgments, or belief systems. We are moving with escape velocity. Nothing can drop us down. But how would the collective operational definition of unity consciousness? The unity consciousness is not intellectual property or intellectual understanding. It is not concept based. It is not postulate based. It is rooted in inner awakening. Once awakening happens, all these droplets of wisdom, all these droplets of nectar in the form of several people, each one of us need to coalesce. Make a shape of ourselves first. That is, on this idea is based or initiated the World United platform. It is not governed by any organized philosophy. It is not governed by any single individual. It is a collective consciousness of each one of us. The wisdom of each one of you is extremely valued here. So the entire effort, the time, the energy is converging now towards this massive coalition, which is the singular most aim and objective of this World Parliament on Spirituality. We are on the 4th event in the series, and another 1 hour, maybe it's going to be concluded. To move further to African chapter and culminate as Asian chapter on 23rd December. So these droplets of wisdom need to be adhered, cemented. The WorldUnited is basically a cementing substance. It doesn't have any boundaries. It's not a brick. It connects. It is a connecting medium. So with the help of connecting medium, we are moving forward. The cement is not visible in the wall, but because of cement, the shape of the wall has come. The WorldUnited is exactly that. It is a connecting medium of all the individuals and institutions who are working for truth, who have gravitated against the psycho-emotional matrix, who are untethered. If each one of us are able to impact so many hundreds and thousands of people, collectively, if we put one hit, how many people are going to be impacted? 1 million people? 1 billion people? The consciousness is same in every human being. The property of consciousness is the same. No change. It is the dust or the mask of it which is colored, otherwise called as mind. We are called adults, adulterated ones. The word adult and adulteration are put together. Just because with increasing age a human being becomes adulterated, they are called as adults. We have to become children again. And unless you become a child again, you are not allowed to enter the kingdom of God. The rebirth has to happen. And the whole planet is in the rebirthing process already. It is giving birth to itself. It is in the process of labor pains. Delivering a new consciousness, which the world has not seen. The psycho-emotional matrix is going to be dissipated, destroyed, annihilated with this new consciousness. That new consciousness is the collective consciousness of all of us, each one of us. Based upon this idea, the World Parliament series have been initiated. This time in all 6 continents, because if we do only one event for entire globe, we cannot accommodate a lot of people. The voices of several people living in South America, several people living in small islands of New Zealand, Australia, several people living across the continent of Africa, the Middle East, Central Asia, less known part of the world, cannot showcase themselves. The reason why continent-wise we have divided. Next year, we are going to divide, we are going to initiate nation-wise activity called as Global Transformation Festival. The theme of which is the personal transformation turning into planetary unity. With this theme, we are going to initiate the Global Transformation Festival. We are going to launch the link of Global Transformation Festival in a week's time. I request each one of you to sign up again as a speaker for Global Transformation Festival as well. But this time, country-wise, the Global Transformation Festival at the rate of USA, at the rate of Mexico, at the rate of Dominican Republic, At the rate of West Indies, Caribbean Islands, Trinidad and Tobago, Belize, Guatemala, Panama, Argentina, Vatican City, small countries, as let them represent, so that we can accommodate lot of wise men and collect all the drops of wisdom. That is the central idea. 10,000 speakers we're aiming for in the year 2021. Appears crazy, yes. Craziness is the real strength of wise men. So these are my views, Mike. Thank you very much, all the panelists. Your presentations are fabulous, excellent. And all your talks, every second of your talk will be uploaded as videos in the YouTube channel. And the journey is going to be collective now. We're all going to travel together. 10% of our time, 10% of our energy, if we keep it for collective activity, just 10%, 90%, yes. Let us do our individual workshops, individual training programs, spend time with your followers, students, family, yes, fine. But 10% of energy, if we put for global cause, global peace and harmony, we can make miracles. Just 10%. 10% makes huge difference, massive difference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Yugandhar. We seem to have a lot of people joining the panel at this point. I think they're probably joining from other tracks as you're coming in. I'd like you to feel free to talk. Feel free to put your opinion in here. We have about another 20 minutes or so before we need to finish up. And since we're a wider audience, I'd like to make sure that people who've come on recently don't feel that they're not allowed to talk. So please feel free to unmute yourself and join in. We have been teaching, well, the latest, I think where our discussion has gone most recently is just being willing to accept a totally different paradigm. Danny Levine gave us a great kind of opening to just say, what if everything you know just isn't right? What if everything we know is wrong? What if? And Danny, maybe you want to just say that again in like 200 words or less and get us started. Could you do that?
Absolutely. It isn't what if everything you know is wrong. I would never say that. But what if everything you know isn't entirely everything to be known? And what would happen if the way we see the world is only that? It's just the way we see the world. It's not really the world that is. What would the world look like if we were to get ourselves out of the way and just see the world that actually exists? This may go over 200 words. Can I tell one short story?
Go for it.
Okay. GP, I loved when you were speaking about who would you be without your stories. And in my book, The Mosaic, one of the characters is a mirror maker. And Mo has been walking along the way for a long time, and he hasn't seen anybody or heard anybody. And he sees these lights on top of a hill, and he runs to the hill because he wants to be with people and talk to somebody because he really misses contact. And he runs to the hill, and by the time he gets there, the lights of the villages are gone out. All the stores are closed except for one. And he walks into the store because the door is open. And in the store, he sees it's a mirror shop. And it's all these mirrors that are there. And he looks in through the door, and he doesn't know if what he's seen is what he's actually seen, or if he's just seeing a reflection of a reflection of a reflection of a reflection through all these different mirrors. And he walks up to one that is the most beautiful, exquisite mirror he's ever seen. But it's not made of glass. It's made of brass. And it's polished so beautifully that you actually see your reflection in it. And he's transfixed by it. He knows the mirror maker must have known how special this was, because there's a light that shines on it from the back. And Mo, the name of the character, just stands there transfixed by this mirror. And suddenly he sees somebody coming up behind him. And the mirror maker says to him, Mo, I see you have found a mirror you like. What does the mirror see in you? And Mo goes and he tells him all the stories of what he knows. He tells him who he is and what he sees when he looks in the mirror. She says, I'm sorry. And GP, this is where I liked what you said too. She said, I'm sorry, I'm not asking what you see when you look in the mirror. I'm asking, what does the mirror see when it looks at you? The mirror doesn't know any of your stories. It doesn't know any of your problems. It doesn't know any of your worries. It just sees you. What does it see when it sees you? What would we see if we put aside all of our stories, all of our beliefs, all of our thoughts, all of the things that we've counted on to build the foundation of our cities and our life on? What would we see if it all just slid right? What would be there? I'm sorry, I took over 200 words.
I think it was worth every word, Denny.
The grief of a storyteller.
That was beautiful. May I add one thing that Dr. Yugandhar said, and honored to be sitting here. I chimed in a little early, but I just love the energy and the love that I get to receive from all of you. But it goes back to what Dr. Yugandhar had just said, that we need to be that child, that inner child. If we think about this beautiful story written in the 1940s in France, The Little Prince, which most of us may have read or know about. And in this story, this little prince, this little boy said, it's not getting older that's the problem. It's forgetting to see everyone the same, to live fearlessly, to live in a state of bliss and happiness every second of the day, not worrying about our past and not worrying about tomorrow, but to be in the now, to be present. And that is the state of a child, that there is no black, white, pink, yellow, brown. There is no Christian, Jewish, Buddhist, Muslim. There is no Democrat, Republic. There's no parties. It's just pure, unconditional love that we get to witness in these children. That's the state this world needs to be in. That's what this world has forgotten. That unconditional love for thyself so that we can truly love one another. This is why we're here, is to remember or to awaken all of these beautiful souls in a time that is so needed, to celebrate life to the fullest every day, to go outside and play and hug a tree, climb a tree, go barefoot on the grass or in the sand, paint, pick up something, because we're here for a nano moment in this time and we're not promised tomorrow and we cannot change our past. We have to live every day as a birthday to the fullest and make sure we touch as many souls in our lives as we possibly can every day, because it is about our soul to soul connections with this world. And we're doing it because of Dr. Yugandhar and his beautiful team. And that just touched my heart, Dr. Yugandhar. Thank you for what Marla and I speak about every day, is making sure we are that inner child, that we are living life to the fullest, that we are in a state of gratitude 24/7. And that we're here just to make sure we reach one more soul. When in the Talmud, it says, when we save one soul, we save the world entirely. It's because we are a part of a collective whole. We are one. We just forgot.
I think that same message was given earlier when someone talked about how when we lift on one boat in the harbor, all of the boats lift together. As we lift ourselves, we lift everyone. So beautiful, Scott. I think that was just perfect segue. I loved it. Anybody else like to just chime in at this point and offer something? Tina, I see you waving your hand. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would love to chime in. It's just amazing to me, affirmation that we are all here in the right place at the right time. We were in a completely different track, and yet I see the similarities of all of the conversations, that everything, change in the world begins within each of us, with being in our heart, with being that love and kindness and compassion that we want to see in the world. To have peace in the world, we have to have peace within ourselves. We want to maintain that inner child, the playfulness of youth, because that is what keeps us close to our one true source, our true essence, true spirituality, if you will. And it's just so honoring and amazing. I'm shaking, I'm vibrating with this collective consciousness. I want to bring forward something that Steve Robertson shared in our track and that I so much agree with. And that is the ultimate step in our consciousness. And we as consciousness leaders want to lead the way in this, is to watch our languaging. The needing to, the having to, all of that is fear-based lack languaging. So we don't have to, we don't need to do any of these things, but we want to, and we choose to. And we are empowered by being careful with that languaging, that everything is either a path of fear or love. And the path of fear is the path of lack, which is where need comes from, which is where having to comes from, which is we must. There's an energy of, what's the word I'm looking for? There's this energy of desperation that comes with the use of those words that we're not even consciously aware of. And we want to become conscious of that. We want to become, we choose to become. I just share that with everyone. Pay attention to your language. It is truly important.
Thank you, Tina.
Hi,
Hi, Zach. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I love what's being said here. It's interesting because I think everybody has a right to feel how they feel. And of course, it's a matter of, what's the gentleman that was speaking before? He said, Danny, talking about how the perspective, well, the way I was kind of picturing it is, the perspective, if we can, separate from the way we're viewing things. And it made me think about how we need to, as we learn in life, we need to unlearn and then relearn and be willing to do that multiple times throughout our life. I'm like, hopefully in some ways every day. But it's interesting because we also have to not, like Danny said, clarify that we don't want to, I guess in my words, we don't want to like throw out the concrete, the principles that we know that work, the things that we have built upon in our life, but then being able to see ourselves as part of a whole, like Tina was mentioning. We're all very important. We're all, we all can contribute something to this world, and we're all valuable and important. But I think one of the problems is we run into this. I think people become, because I experienced it for myself and hearing from so many others, I think we become self-conscious, and I think we become, we're so used to being put on the defensive when people may be saying things, then it may be actually something we should be listening to. But so it's the more we have these safe environments, I don't want to say safe spaces, but like feeling like we can be in an environment. That's one of the things I've loved most about this whole conference, this whole World Parliament, is that it feels like an environment where I can just like not have any pretenses. I can just listen to what people are saying, take it in, and share a little bit of myself as well. And it feels in a way safe because I don't feel like I don't have to be defensive in any way. I don't have to be, and maybe that's just a reflection of my, my own insecurities throughout my life, right? But just feeling like that there are more people out there. Some of the things that Scott has said over the past few days, I've really appreciated because it's so sincere. It comes from such a real sincere place that I think we're all trying to achieve. And I'm so inspired by this because I feel like the more we do this, the more this, even Tina was mentioning, like that we can, like that we're going to change the world. We can change the world one person at a time as we're opening up ourselves, being willing to open up and listen to others and see each other as, humans, as spirits, as the best. I want to say one last thing. There was a quote, I'm trying to remember who it was, but he said, imagine looking across the table from somebody 10,000 years in the future, and you would probably end up wanting to worship that person in some way. And I think that if we started viewing everybody in the world, everybody we came in contact with in our flawed states, if we saw people 10,000 years in the future and how advanced that person would be, I wonder how much easier it would be for us to treat them nicer now, treat ourselves nicer, look at the world as a bit more inclusive and be more open, so we can, change and be willing to change and adapt and listen and take in to better ourselves.
I would like to say.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Charles, I hate to cut you off, but I've been told I need to close down this session and we need to convert over to the valedictorian session. But before I do that, I hope, Zach, that you and everybody else who's attended all of these sessions has found this as a place where you can resource yourself. And now, as spiritual warriors, go back out all ready to lead the charge again. I want to thank our speakers for this session. Danny Levine, you've been awesome. Laura, where are you on my screen down there on the bottom? You were awesome. We had GP who was lending us from his new empty apartment words and of wisdom that I think we'll all take with us. And Octavio, bridging that balance from science to spirituality is so necessary and so timely. So thank you, all four of you. We're going to play a little music, and then Dr. Yugandhar will be back here with Grandmother Parasha to get things started for this next session. So thank you all, and I'll join you soon.